You're listening to the UpriseAstrology podcast, a podcast that inspires the present-day visionary to rise to their best life. My name is Aylin Sky, and I'm an astrologer and numerologist. I'm best known for cutting right through the noise and bringing the most important messages to you. Welcome, friends. We are going to be diving into the horoscope for all my Pisces and Pisces rising friends for November of 2022. I was just about to say October, but we are moving on up into the next month. I can't believe the year is almost over. This month has a lot in store for all of us. For you guys, it starts out with a fixed T-square between your travel, your mindset, and your faith houses. And so for a lot of you, there is going to be a lot of pressure the very first week in November, or first week going into the second week of November, where you will have to maybe figure out how you're actually going about some details right now that have a lot to do with your mental health. It has a lot to do with the way in which you are just moving through the day-to-day, your lifestyle in general, but also the philosophies that are attached to it. Some very old sort of scenarios could be coming back here where you feel just a level of exhaustion or a level of extending yourself in a way where you may have to redo this aspect now of your life. It's finally time. This T-square is going to show you that you need to change your mindset. You need to pull back, kind of pull out and take a look at your life from a different perspective. And this is where a lot of the attention is for you guys, because your ninth house right now with the sun, with Mercury and Venus, and the South Node here, moving all together through the ninth house, this is an opportunity for you to pull your energy kind of back and take a look at what you need to sharpen around what in life needs to get protected, because many of you could be taking on a project, studying something completely new. There is a new kind of belief system that you're learning about, or you're taking it on at this time. It could also be something that's naturally happening because that T-square is happening also with Saturn in the 12th house. This is going to be a time where you are really taking a look at what has been so necessary in your life to change that impacts your mental health, impacts the way in which you're thinking, and then as a result, even your creative energy. Because oftentimes I find when there is a lot of in the third house as well, which is where that T-square is flowing into as well, that third house has the North Node and Uranus here, you are to basically pay attention to bringing some of a new creative flow of some sort. And with that North Node in Taurus right now, you might notice that you have to sort of pay attention to the way in which you are pouring your energy, or maybe not your energy, into certain things. And then as a result, how does that really impact your mental health? These are types of things that I believe for many of you, you are going to be working out at this time. Moving on up on November 7th, the Sun and Mercury are going to be together at 14 degrees coming into a Cazimi. This is going to happen in your ninth house. That Sun, Mercury, Cazimi, you guys, this is a rapid fire conversation in regards to dealing with any kind of issues for you in philosophy, in your belief systems, in any kind of large projects that need to get published, and also maybe even travel. There could be a travel that comes up now that you start to realize, I actually need to do this trip because it's going to be really beneficial for me. I need to step outside of my comfort zone. I need to really go into the future here and start to trust that whatever is unfolding right now is actually going to protect me later on as well, because you just feel inspired to do it. Whenever Sun and Mercury come together at 14 degrees, and this is going to be in Scorpio, you are discovering something so important, and it comes through the written form, it comes through speech, or as the ancients used to refer to number 14 as a scripture. So there could be some kind of reading involved. There could be some kind of just digging in deeper or decoding even something, okay, that has to do with philosophy or studies or anything of that nature. So you you're uncovering it, and there is going to be a much bigger story that's going to unfold out of it. So really beautiful energy that kind of supports aha moments, supports for you to help to understand, to put the missing pieces together in your life. And then what backs up all of this and the necessity of it is that full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus. Now, this full moon lunar eclipse is going to be happening in your third house, looking at your ninth house. Again, a lot of emphasis right now on mental health, a lot of emphasis on just maybe even you guys having this feeling right now that you need to speak up. You actually need to speak up. You need to do something about certain limits, traditions, or the ways in which you are recognizing now that you have this certain attitude towards particular lifestyle commitments that you have at this time, and you're wanting to change them, but you have to sort of speak up in order to move beyond the limits of these, patterns. This is something that might come up. And you might also be in a situation, some of you, not all of you, right? You might be in a situation where there's just such a busy time because you are realizing there is a lot going on with social media, for example, or your environment. Oftentimes, the third house for me present like the typing, right? You are in the comment section somewhere on social media, in the comment section somewhere. You could be the person that is starting to notice there is an upswing of some sort or some kind of thing that you need to deal with that comes through the internet, comes through speech and other people's beliefs as well. And it kind of clashes with your own. So these are the types of scenarios you could be taking a look at. But in general, this is going to be a full moon lunar eclipse that comes to a hard stop and shows you that you need to have a better protection system in place, and it'll come with something that you might even cut out of your life, and you start to notice that you really want to focus on positivity more, or you want to focus on a particular outcome more. And this is what the full moon lunar eclipse is highlighting for many of you here. Now, moving on to November 9th, the conversations start to heat up a little bit. Mercury still in the ninth house in an opposition exact now at 16 degrees. So full moon initiates this really heated up moment where we could notice that there is some kind of clash amongst our own spiritual point of views or somebody else's. There could be moral issues or ethical issues that start to come up, and you need to address them. But somehow this is forcing you to make up your mind or become sharper with your speech, because this is an unexpected sort of energy that comes up, something that is being said, something that you didn't realize, and you realize now, wow, I'm going to stick to my own sets of beliefs, and I can't deal with this. This is impacting my mind way in a direction that I don't like. Or you could just simply be experiencing a lot of back and forth between you and other people, where there's an exchange of beliefs or ideas or opinions, and it just sucks. Like, you don't like that at all. You are not of that belief. And watch out for this energy here to not get stuck in just going down the rabbit hole here, because this is just a 24-hour energy that is going to play out. Sometimes we can't avoid it. It's a situation that comes up. It makes us stronger as a result of it. But best to work alone and best to focus on new things or things that you're really into at this time, and using that energy in that kind of a way. Because when you do that, Uranus helps you to up level somehow. With Uranus in the picture, you always have this moment where you start to realize, oh, I could have done that different. There's another better way to go about it. And so that's piece about Uranus that we cannot forget about. This is why it disrupts business as usual, so that we can do things a little bit different. Now, moving on to November 15th and 16th, Venus and Mercury will be trining Jupiter at 28. Venus and Mercury in your ninth house, trining Jupiter for you in your first house. This is a beautiful energy where you start to realize, the spotlight is going to be on you here for a moment, where you realize you might have this new opportunity for you to up level somehow or expand who you are through other people. There could be other people involved in the picture here at 28. Whenever we go high in the degrees, we have other people involved here. There could be some sort of a help or some sort of spotlight that comes through another person kind of acknowledging you for something that you have done really, really well, or there's some kind of recognition that comes through. And it's a really nice energy here. And the energy kind of ends on you realizing, okay, now is go time. Now is a time to become more productive. It's a really lovely energy for many of you because on 16th and the 17th, Venus and Mercury are going to start to move into Sagittarius from your ninth house now into your 10th house. And this is going to be a time to focus on your career now, to focus on productivity, to focus on things that you want to do out there in the world, and the spotlight kind of shines even more on you, and it's go time. That is what I keep seeing for many of you. It's a time to socialize. It's a time to, get out there into the world. Whenever the 10th house starts to get ignited or has energy that pours into it, this is a very important time to just allow for yourself to be social, but also have some kind of sharpening or some kind of, coming out into the world type of energy that comes out, and you give permission for that. So with that Venus and Mercury coming from your ninth house into the 10th house, this is going to be a beautiful energy for that. And more to expand on that as the month is unfolding. And I want to come back to this energy we talked about last month. Last month, we talked about this, you guys. There is this really gnarly energy right now in the astrology. November 16th through the 22nd, Mars and Neptune are going to be meeting again, exact in a square 20, except this time Mars is retrograding. So Mars and Neptune have been in this conversation for a while. This is between your fourth house and your first house. Now, this is a much needed subject that kind of circles back around for many of us. But for you, this has a lot to do with an old situation with a family member or something about your upbringing that was an energy that you thought would go away, but somehow comes back. And so you now have to deal with it because this energy right here with Neptune being in your first house, you are to pay attention where people cross your boundaries. And the way that they cross your boundaries, not just crossing your boundary, but it's really about you now feeling less than as a result of it. And so there is a question here that comes up for Mars basically saying, are we going to cut this thing out now? Mars in the fourth house, you guys, Mars in the fourth house, I have a lot to say about this because if you know anything about astrocartography, where I live here, Mars shifts into my fourth house. And I have to say, this is not the best placement for it, but it becomes a productive placement for you to finally stand up against some outmoded traditions or things in your life where you felt like, figures that kind of remind you of your upbringing or people that remind you of your upbringing, they kind of are manifesting right back into the picture. And you're like, okay, I'm done with that. I'm not doing that anymore. It's also a really great energy for you to sharpen your own sort of comfort levels. Okay. But the way that you go about it with Mars being in the fourth house for you guys specifically right now, this has a lot to do with you recognizing now where that boundary crossing happens. And then the energy feels super gnarly or twisted somehow between you and another person because they don't want you somehow um, to be you. I'm going to say be you, but there might be more involved around this. So you want to pay attention to this. This is some kind of energy where we want to watch out for deceitful action. And so this could involve that kind of a thing. It could also involve people that we know of that, you are intervention with that person Mars in Gemini, you are having that intervention with that person because they're somehow like they're not doing enough around the house, or there's some kind of a thing where you now need to focus in on the subject because it really impacts you, because it somehow doesn't allow for you to feel solid moving forward with your own, life, doing the things that you need to do. That thing gets in the way. Want to watch out for this energy. Okay. This is a very interesting energy. At the very least, what you might experience. Okay. Again, some of these scenarios are not going to play out for everybody. It's a general reading. So I just want you to be mindful. Whatever I'm saying here, these are suggestions of what could be happening at the very, basic level. Mars Neptune squares can be an energy where we feel a little bit more tired. We feel like we don't want to get up and do what we need to do because there is some kind of like a disruption to our energy, and it's just kind of hard to focus. So you want to be mindful during this date right here, 16th to the 22nd, that you are paying attention to your energy levels, that you're doing everything you can in your power to just stay in a good balance, getting that rest, nourishing yourself, and taking things off your plate if you're running into this type of energy. All right. I spend a lot of time for you guys there. Sometimes I find when I'm doing the readings for every single one of the signs, I'll end up like spending some more time in certain areas because I feel like you guys maybe need to hear some more things about that area. So that was really interesting. Now, let's move on to some other energy that is super interesting, very productive, good for finances, good for productivity, and good for kind of like a reset in our mind. And for you guys, this is going to be November 19th through the 30th. Venus and Mercury are going to be now in your 10th house since they've moved out of the ninth house into the 10th house. And so this is going to be a time where many of you might feel that you are going to be ready for increased expansion or conversations or business transactions, especially in your job. So if you are in sales, particularly, this is going to be a really good time. If you are someone who needs to negotiate or are dealing with some kind of administrative work, this is going to be a really productive time. Mercury and Venus are going to be conjuncting several times exact as they're moving from 4 until 20 degrees. So during this time, what's going to be super important for you guys is to keep your faith intact. You have to have faith in the process. There might be a lot going on at this time, especially between your career and your home life, because Mars is going to be still in that retrograde. Mars in Gemini is going to stay here until March. This is 74-day action here. You want to make sure that you are keeping your faith in the process, whatever process you're going through with career. If you are wanting to up level career, if you're looking at a promotion, if you're looking at something that is going to somehow give you a new opportunity in your career during this time, then definitely make sure that you're keeping your faith in the process, because sometimes this energy can be pretty scattered or pretty nervous because it's also Gemini, and then Gemini looking at that 10th house here with Venus and Mercury together. Just keep your eye on your goals and keep moving forward with however you need to move forward. Now, financially, this is going to be a really good time, or a time where you start to notice that if you put that application through, you will get an answer back much sooner. What also happens during this period is, and this is super exciting, November 20th, Sun and Jupiter are going to be in a conjunction. This is going to happen here where you start to realize there is now future growth that is starting to unfold right in front of your eyes, specifically with your vision, specifically in the way in which you have been focusing on your life, all the things that you have been moving through. You will start to see that there is a moment now. Okay, I have moved through this. I know why I moved through this. I am going to put my future, my eye on this specific area right here, on this idea, on this financial outcome, whatever it may be for you, you are going to start to realize that this is going to be a time now where not only the benefits are for now, but they're also going to be for the long term. So good news will come through during this time, or whatever you're focusing on, make sure that you are in a good space because you are coming out of your comfort zone to make some bigger gains in your life when it comes to your philosophy, your career, and in general, just you coming out into the spotlight even more. So, really great energy. Now, before I move on to the next and the last couple of transits for this month, my name is Aylin Sky. I'm an astrologer and numerologist. If you're here for time, I am welcoming you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for hanging out with me. And make sure you subscribe to my channel. Ring the bell. I'm sure you hear this already a million times from other people, but when you do, right, you get notified that a new horoscope is out or when I'm doing the live, and so that way you don't miss any of these messages or the horoscopes. So I would love for you to join the Uprise fam. Thank you so much for watching. Now let's move on to area here, November 22nd and the 23rd. Two very important things are happening. First thing is Jupiter is moving direct. This is going to happen in your first house. Such a great energy that will start to unleash here for you guys when it comes to your vitality, when it comes to you really understanding what you vitality and what expands your energy in a way where you feel really good about it. But in general, this can also just speak to Jupiter in the first house. A lot of very important moments that you realize are unfolding right now in your life that are benefiting you specifically, your character, your persona. There is some kind of an expansion to what you have been working on yourself, body wise, or even your image and how you portray yourself to other people. There's sort of a forward movement now that is starting to unfold here, clarity that starts to kick in. And we're beginning Sagittarius season. So again, everything is starting to finally move out of your ninth house into the 10th house. The career aspects are going to start to really magnify towards the end of the month. November 26th, 30th, Mars in the fourth house is going to be trining your Saturn in the 12th house. This is when you're going to be able to actually start to be more responsible when it comes to stuff that's been unfolding behind the scenes with family or things that have been really bugging you that you're wanting to resolve these issues now. And so with this particular trine, you're getting this opportunity to make smarter, moves as to what you need to do to resolve some of the family issues, what you need to do to resolve any of the issues that have to do with your comfort. Okay. In the very basic terms, the fourth house oftentimes revolves a lot about what we feel comfortable around, what gives us this like feeling of safety. That is what the fourth house can be about. Now with Mars and Gemini being here in the fourth house, trining the 12th house, this has to do with your faith and your spirituality. And something is going to start to straighten back out. At 19 degrees, we're taking a look at you just making bolder actions towards the things that you're really wanting to get resolved at this time. And you may even get conversations. And these conversations have to do with the way in which, you feel about your faith and your spirituality. There could be something or somebody that you're taking care of that requires more attention somehow, and you need to figure out how to go about it. These are the types of things that will get resolved during this time. There's a little bit of a hiccup at the end of the month, and that is going to be November 29th. Mercury is going to be in your 10th house, opposing Mars in the 4th house. This has to do with what you're doing between home life and your career. Somebody might just say to you, they don't believe in what it is that you're doing, or you could be running into some kind of, how do I juggle these two aspects of my life? But there is some kind of an oppositional force here. Okay. It has to do with some kind of difficulty or challenge. In terms of how you spend your time between work and how you spend your time between, family, it could also be just a heated discussion around what you need to do, what you need at this time. You might need more days off. You might need, more money, whatever the necessities are for you to feel that you can protect sort of your own space so that you can really show up in the world. These are types of things that you could be running into during this time. Again, keep the faith. You are quite literally this month in a space, I feel, for many of you, where you're coming out into your career in a whole different light. There's something that's really changing here at this time. And I think what's really important here at the end of the month is to realize that you're doing everything in your power to make that happen. And sometimes what is happening outside of yourself, you can't quite, control that. Not that you don't know that already, but there is going to be a moment, I think, that really maximizes here and expands here for you to remind yourself of that because of all the action that is happening between your career and your home life. These are some strong houses during this time. But overall, I think that this is a fantastic month for you guys to get things straightened out, to start to notice what you need to do in order to expand your future career goals and your career goals in general, and to become more productive. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope that you enjoyed today's horoscope. Again, subscribe, ring the bell, share it with the people in your life that you find that would benefit from this. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye.